Are you wanting to leave the corporate world, start a business, become self-employed, but something is stopping you from moving forward? If this is you, please tune into this video because I'm going to share some things I have learned and I have shared with many clients now on making that transition from corporate to being self-employed. Hi there, my name's Andrea Horvath. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I help high-achieving women figure out what it is they want to do with their career so it lines up completely with their life, their lifestyle, and who they really are, even if they have no freaking clue what that is. So if that is you, continue to listen on, please. Now, when I first start working with women, there are many who come to me right away and they're like, okay, I know I want to be self-employed. I want to leave corporate, but I don't know what that looks like yet. But there's also many who come to me and have no idea. They're like, no, I want to change in corporate, and they've got kind of ideas of what they want to do. And then as we start to work together, they discover actually they don't want to stay in corporate. And I'm just going to say this right from the beginning. By far, the vast majority of the women I work with want to leave corporate after they've, whether they realized that at the beginning or they realized it after working with me a couple weeks. By far, the vast majority end up wanting to leave and make that path. So even if right now where you're going, I don't know if I want to leave corporate, but you maybe kind of thought about it a couple times, chances are if you've thought about it a couple times, there's this thread there that can be pulled on for sure. So what I want to explain, really get into, is like some of the things that I learned, because I didn't know all this before I made the switch. And it would have helped me along the way. And I actually think I would have probably made the plunge earlier if I had known some of these things. So I want to empower you to make a decision, because the truth is, if you've been thinking about this and you've thought about it and it's come up a few times, there is something there, but there's also something that's stopping you. So maybe I can help shed some light on some of the things that are going in your mind to help you move forward. Okay, so that's my intention of this video. So this sounds cool to you? Stay tuned, and please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me get my material out there. And if it's somebody you know who could really benefit from this, please forward along. So without further ado, and I've made some notes here so make sure I include everything. So number one thing I want to share, and there's actually going to be 5 things in this video. The first thing I want to share is I hear from a lot of women that they're scared they're going to fail. They're scared it's not going to work. And when you're in the corporate world, this is how it works. You get a job, right? It's taken a lot of effort, right? You apply on jobs, you go through the interview process, you get a job. So a lot of work just to even get to that point. And then you hope like heck that it's going to work out. It's going to be what you expected, but you've locked yourself in. Like you really have locked yourself in. You might be 3 months into a new job and you realize this isn't the one for me, but there you are. You're totally locked in. And so when you think about changing to being self-employed, we often carry that same mentality. We're going to be locked into this thing. We're going to fail. It's not going to work. And it's like, oh, what am I going to do? There's a big difference between self-employed and being a corporate employee, or any kind of employee really. When it comes to this, when you're self-employed, you pivot. So what I mean is you try something, and if you don't like it, if it's not working, if it's not what you thought it would be, you adjust. It's just what you do. You don't stay locked in and then just head down this failure path. I mean, I guess you can choose that, right? But that's not how this process goes. This process is about actually leaning into what's working, leaning into what you enjoy and what's making you feel fulfilled and all those beautiful things, and leaning away from all the stuff that you don't want. But it's a constant refinement. It's like when you start out, you've got an idea and you've got this concept and you're working towards it and you start taking steps, but you continually refine it and you go along, and it's more of a journey. Where corporate is, get a job and here I sit and I've got to put in my 2 years and then I can apply for a promotion or then I can feel good about leaving. That's not how this goes. And so it's more a free flowing energy where you can ebb and flow. And so if you think about, well, am I going to fail? Well, you're only going to fail if you choose to stay doing something that's not working. That's when you're going to fail. And this brings me to number 2. You have a lot more control. You have a lot more control. Like when you're in corporate, if you've got a boss who doesn't like you, you're kind of screwed, right? Like you're kind of, that's it. If the company makes changes that you don't like, you're stuck. And then you have to start the whole process over again. Like it's a lot of these big shifts and hoping and praying it works. I mean, there is some hoping and praying things work when you're self-employed, but they're little shifts and you just have so much more control. It's just this feeling of, okay, well, it didn't work. Maybe I messed up. Maybe it's just not what I thought it was, but okay, I can figure this out. I actually have the ability to pivot, to move, and I can do this. I have the ability. I have what's the right word I'm looking for? It's almost just like the space to actually do this. Nobody's going to stop you. Nobody is going to stop you from making changes and being who you are. But when you've been in corporate for a long time, there are so many things and people and circumstances and politics and systems and processes that stop you. It doesn't work that way. When you're here, you have a lot more control over what happens to you and your destiny. Way more control, which is, one of the reasons why so many people love it. It's one of the reasons I love it, because I can actually I hated having somebody telling me what to do all the time. I freaking hated it. So I love having that ability to have more control and to pivot and change. And as I grow and I evolve and expand, right? Third thing I want to mention is one of the things that stops people from actually starting a business, and they're not fully grounded in what they're good at. If you're not happy in your career, chances are right now you are not actually utilizing a lot of your gifts and your strengths and your unique talents. When you're self-employed, you need to be acutely dialed into those, and you need to leverage those. So one of the things that stops people is they don't know. They've been so lost for so long, they haven't dialed it in, and they have no confidence to move forward to actually start that business. So if this might be you, where you're like, okay, and I actually see that I want to do this, but I don't know what to do. I really just don't know what to do. And that the cause could likely be like you've just gotten so out of touch with what you're good at, because you really do need to leverage what you're good at, and then to actually get support with the things that you're not so good at. That's how this works. But we've all got these unique talents, our stories, our gifts, our experiences, and those are the things that are actually going to bring you success and make you successful. But if you don't know what they are, it's kind of like guesswork, and that doesn't feel very good, and it doesn't inspire, it doesn't create change, it doesn't really get you moving forward. And if you're not fully tapped into what you're good at, when you hit a roadblock or an obstacle, you're way more likely to quit. Just way more likely to quit, okay? Fourth thing I want to mention is you can't do it alone. You really can't. Number 4 and number 5 on the list that I'm going to mention right now, they're kind of linked. But you can't do it alone. So in corporate, we can often feel quite alone. I mean, sometimes we're part of a really supportive team, but a lot of times we're not. And this is one thing that I noticed while in corporate. I feel like I had to have it all figured out, especially if you've been in management in a leadership role for a long time. You can feel the pressure like you're supposed to have it all figured out and just know everything. I'm just supposed to know everything. I mean, the days of getting training on jobs is pretty much dead in a lot of, companies. So you're just supposed to know it. You're just supposed to pick it up. Well, that doesn't really work. And so becoming self-employed, if you still have this mindset that I'm supposed to just have it all figured out and I'm supposed to just know what I'm doing, it's probably not going to work. I'm just going to be blunt and to be honest, I don't know anybody who's self-employed who does it alone. I just don't. That was one thing it took me a long time to get over, because I definitely worked in a company that was very much like, you're supposed to have it all figured out. You're just supposed to know it. We're not going to teach you anything. You're supposed to come in all knowing. And so when I started this business, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to just know it, until I went, oh my God, like I'm failing and I don't know what to do. And it was liberating to actually admit that I needed help. But that can be a big hurdle for people, their egos, because we've been taught and programmed and trained to think we're supposed to have it all figured out, but you cannot do it alone. And so if you're sitting there and you're frustrated, you're like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know how to take steps. I don't know what, like, I'm just lost. Don't expect yourself to have all the answers. It's probably not likely. How are you supposed to if you've never done this before? Like, we're not supposed to just like take things from the ethers, right? Like, it's really hard to do alone. So the fifth thing I want to mention here is, and this goes, like I said, linked with number 4, is that, you know, and this is something I hear from a lot of women, and I've heard from a lot of people over the years, and definitely was my experience, is when I was in the corporate world, I didn't feel really supported. I did feel like I was supposed to have a lot of it figured out on my own. And it really stunted my growth, and I hear that with people all the time. And when we've been shamed in the workplace or made to feel stupid or whatever it might be, it can be hard to see that there's another world out there. And so what I'm getting to with point number 5 is, when you're in the entrepreneurial, self-employed space, people are a lot more humble. There's a lot more support. It's like this camaraderie. And I mean, it's not with everybody, certainly, but I have met the coolest people, like so supportive, so caring, that will be like, what can I do to help you? How can I support you? How can we work together to help each other? It's a whole different culture. And I know for many of you, the corporate culture doesn't work. And it's because it's so freaking competitive. We've just been taught that this is the way it's supposed to be. The self-employed entrepreneurial world, I mean, there's going to be some competitive people. Yeah, I get it. But that's not been my experience at all. At all. And I have met the most beautiful people. And so it creates this community. And I can tell you right now, I had no idea this is what this was going to be like. All I knew was I didn't fit the corporate culture. Like, I knew it didn't fit me. I don't like competition. I like collaboration. I like it when we all rise together. I like it when we support each other. We can go so much further together. And there's this whole community out there. And I think when you're in corporate, you can't even see it. You can't even see that there's this whole other world that supports and loves each other and really wants to see each other succeed to the level and depth that exists out there, and people of such high integrity. High integrity. This was something that used to irritate me about the corporate world, is a lack of integrity. I saw it in a lot. And yes, again, you're going to see that in the self-employed world, 100%. That's not like it doesn't exist, but there is a whole other world, and it's emerging more and more and more. Because here's the thing, if you're watching this video now and you're like, yeah, I don't love this corporate culture anymore, I'm so sick of it, I'm so done with the politics, BS, and crap that goes on there. There's a whole movement of people just like you who are in the same space right now, who are like, I am so done. And we're finding each other, and it's beautiful. It really is. So I just want to really emphasize that the support is there. It's also needed. Like I mentioned in number 4, it's really hard to do it alone because you're going to hit hard points, and they don't have to be dead ends. They don't have to be where you stop or where you quote unquote fail. It just means you need to reach out to somebody and get some help. That's all it means. And I can guarantee you, you will be able to find someone who can help you, because there just is. So I really hope this has helped you. I'd love to hear, where are you at? Where are you stumbling? Is this something you are thinking about and you are stuck and you don't know what to do? I'd love to hear it in the comments below. If you are somebody who's like, yeah, okay, I'm wanting this, but I don't know what to do, how to move forward. This is something I have helped many people through. It's what I also did myself. I was in the corporate world for 25-ish years. Yeah, it's definitely a switch, but it's a switch. The more knowledge you have, the easier it is, the much easier it has. So reach out to me. I'm going to put all my contact information below, my social media links, as well as my email. So I hope this is helpful. If it is, again, please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help my content get out there, and I will talk to you soon.